All right. Thank you, everyone, for not running away and being here for our final keynote speaker. I'd like to present Malak Akiely. Malak is a serial entrepreneur from Jordan. She's Jordan-based. She is the founder and managing director of Golden Wheat for Grain Trading. An industry that is particularly male dominated in a region that's dominated by male entrepreneurs. She's also the co-founder of Golden Cayenne for Oil and Energy, a board member of the Jordan Economic Forum, as well as a co-founder. She was a young global leader with the World Economic Forum, among number of other accolades. She has done projects ranging from teaching entrepreneurship to women called Women Bee Buzzers, which enabled rural Jordanian women to earn income and gain new skills, as well as a number of other initiatives, but we'll cover a lot of that in our discussion afterwards. So with that said, I'd like to turn it over to Malak. Malak.
Hi, everyone. Good morning to all. First of all, I want to congratulate and celebrate with you the WPI launch of the Global School in the Middle East, with the vital role that WPI has in shaping the Middle East future for preparing leaders and pioneers in the STEM fields and projecting a hands-on learning experience and real-life challenges education. In the Middle East, we are in a desperate need for hope and optimism. So it's an enormous honor to join you in such an event and speak from my home country, Jordan, to those striving to make this positive impact in the world. And I'm super excited to see the momentum in action as a female businesswoman in the MENA region. Even now, I'm more excited actually after the panel discussions and the projects that the students have presented from the WPI. So I'll start with Her Majesty Queen Rani of Jordan, that has emphasized always that education is the best kind of immunity we can give our youth to face the challenges around them. Having said that, 28% of our population in the Middle East are young people. So it has been always education, and your mastery in WPI must be in full enforcement. It's okay if you are still navigating your authentic leadership and priorities until now, since leadership, in my opinion, it's a daily practice and really happens when you find yourself in a crossroad or situation or a challenge that you have to stand up for a cause. That's why your authentic leadership with a quality education has never been needed like now. And in the heat of the pandemic, we all should be definitely having our post-pandemic mindset focus on reorienting and redesigning our priorities and redefining our personal brand. So the state of mind that it should be that we have to be agile, we have to be more resilient. Yet here comes the fundamental question: how to reset in this new digital age and redefine ourselves in a regional post-pandemic leadership agenda. So I just put some steps. I think that it's very, very much important. The first step is every step along the way, people like seeking and looking for leadership, role models, example, visionary people who enforce policies and give such examples, and integrity, and also integrity. And so you can embrace and exercise and show all of that through finding the platform and space to experience that. And that's why, for example, the WPI is there. We're always in such a need of what any educational institution is providing. And on a personal level, I want to share with you my own SST concept, which is essentially surviving, sustaining, and thriving. So the concept should be applied on both a personal and professional level. I apply it myself. So last year, for example, was definitely a difficult year. It has been our own choice to act now and have a defining role for redesigning and reorienting all our resources for the very best of our health and well-being and prosperity, which is essentially what you are expecting to have at WPI. It's a lifetime experience that puts you on the right and first steps of your extraordinary leadership journey. So how is that? I will share with you the steps to do so, of applying the SSC concept on a both personal and professional level. Let me start with the personal level in applying the SSC concept. The first step is to identify yourself. Who are you? What's your personal brand, your personal code? What's the first thing do you think people will describe or relate to you? It's an excellent exercise. So personally, during the lockdown last March here in Jordan, I was reflecting on all my life, and I found out proudly that I'm really content with where I am now, and I need to continue this commitment to my journey of self-growth. I started with removing toxic people and distractions from my life, counting my daily blessings and focusing on what's essential in life, and that's surviving, because basically you start by embracing the state of your existence and coexisting with your body, mind, and soul from one side, and also with other human beings from another side, which is, the core. You're finding your core and also identifying why you are here in this universe. The second step is sustaining, which is strengthening your mental and physical health, and take care of your own precious self. And the third step is thriving. It is your moment to shine and prosper. And you will prosper by also growing 3 circles, which I name them the circle of knowledge, the circle of confidence and trust, and the circle of friends and family. So now, after fulfilling the SSC concept, you will be ready for the professional level. And again, it is our own choice for reorienting all our resources for the sustainability of our livelihood in the region. And I really want to emphasize on the importance of our sustainability of our livelihood in the region. The main lesson learned during this pandemic is the power of technology in connecting people under extreme circumstances. Hence, COVID-19 definitely pushed technology adaptation, even in the region, with every day of our lives. Individuals, companies that were reluctant to adapt technological solutions are now more open to learning new skills and utilizing new technologies, investing in technology integration, and especially having more appreciation for STEM fields, as well as creating the data-driven societies we want. And believe me, this shift to data-based decision will enable us to find better answers to our persistent problems in the MENA region. By first, we will understand the roots of the problem and how they correlate. And consequently, this understanding will allow us to explore or identify solutions that we've never been able to see without this access to big data. Nevertheless, to do so, we need to rearrange our life strategies again towards investing more in ourselves and also in the technological literacy. And after all of us have witnessed the implications of 2020, deep technology integration is further ingrained in almost every industry, and the emergence of new technologies will impact and will become our new reality, and power will be in the hands of who owns the data. So we as a society should aim to empower the new generation, defining their own roles and the way to live it. So for example, if we aim to empower women in the STEM field, then as a society, we must educate young girls to define and position themselves as women in tech. So we could turn the gender roles around and be on top of it. So if we embodied that culture and from an early age and give more hope for women who have been hit hard by conflict or still live on war zones and refugee camps or even in closed-minded communities, we just give them the opportunities to do so. It's vital for us to believe that no economic progress without the progress of humans and truly investing in them. And WPI as a platform, as an institute, it's the platform to do so. That's why I implore you to explore and embrace such experience. And that's what WPI does. They invest in you, the transformational leaders, and they invest in the future. At the launch, I cannot wait to see the students of Visionary Youth creating an actionable path, actually, where all the minds in the region, they come together and harness the power of knowledge. And they realize that our true asset is the institutional knowledge and leading the trends of sustainability to solve the global urgent challenges and creating the global harmony. And you'd never know, maybe the next tech unicorn in the coming decade, or the one will create the vaccines for infectious diseases, will be from the Arab world. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Malak. Malak, you said so many things that are instantly quotable. So I was scrambling to jot down notes to make sure that I had them. But you said we must educate girls to position themselves to essentially as belonging in tech if we want them to thrive in tech. And it made me immediately think of an image, which is if you go to the Jordanian Economic Forum, that you co-founded and are on the board of directors. If you look at the pictures, you're the only female face in the entire board. So what was it about your own education that positioned you to think and believe that you belonged in that room?
I think it's not about the male-female thing here. It's about the knowledge and the added value you are providing. So when we co-founded the forum, we just wanted a pressure group and a think tank that consists of the best minds in Jordan to work on economic and actually assist the government, assist the government with having these economic policies and reforms in place. So I think I was just, I wouldn't say by coincidence. I would just say that I was, selected to join the board, and I'm continue to contribute and learn in return for the best of my country and also the region, because it's about economic progress for our country.
Yeah. So let's sort of stepping back and thinking about you as you have a number of different roles. I think one of the consistent ones has been that of entrepreneur. And could you talk us a little bit about your entrepreneurial journeys, and especially I think of interest is specifically in the Middle East, in Jordan, could you maybe talk a little bit about that?
I'll share. I mean, it's recorded, but I'll tell some stories. I don't mind. But the thing, Joe, is I would call it. You must have the entrepreneurial attitude, which means that you will be in certain situations that you need to act fast. So, for example, we had an opportunity in Nigeria. So one of the stories I had is actually I went to I had an opportunity. I had a meeting, with the ambassador, and then I had some time before the specific time to see him. So I had time to just free time. So I went actually to know the location of the embassy. So what I did is actually I saw the security guy standing outside. So I just stopped the car and I talked to him for 3 hours. And I get all the information I want actually from the security guy who happens to be from Nigeria. And actually he helped me so much, and he actually connected me. He provided me, after 3 hours of talking to him, of course I missed the appointment with the Nigerian ambassador, as you of course can imagine. And the guy, he gave me very valuable information about a country I've never been, I've never heard of. And at the end of our meeting, if you want to call it a meeting, I think I was lucky to meet him. He gave me a number, and this number, he actually happens to the connection to one of the, influential governmental men in Nigeria. I didn't know that. It means that you just should be open to explore opportunities. It's just you have to act now, and opportunities will come to your door. I never thought that I will reach to these people, and we invested in some aviation and oil projects in Nigeria. We failed miserably, but it was a rich experience in terms of learning, and it's always about entrepreneurial attitude. Is like, how do you always take the failure as a life lesson and learn how to talk to people and really see, just be open and just be an active listener, because everyone has something to say and contribute. And I've started at an early age. I started taking risks. I established my own company, and then I joined, and then I had a partner. Then I went again. I started all over again, and now I am on my own since 6 years. And after 3 years, I tapped on a new experience, which is educating myself about oil and energy. So I think you just be, to have to be committed and focused, and also take everything. Entrepreneurship, I think it's an exercise. It's a way of thinking. And I think I'm so lucky, made myself, this being lucky. I mean, I really worked hard to reach where I am now.
Yeah, so that really will resonate with a number of my colleagues. We have an initiative at WPI around entrepreneurial mindset training. We tried to integrate the very values and orientations that you described, that openness, spirit of exploration, seizing opportunity, all of those things. And I kept thinking about, and I know that I'm butchering the quote, but it's that, being an entrepreneur means like facing repeated failure with optimism when you probably shouldn't be optimistic. But
you have to, I think, Joe, you have to see always that there is a reason, and you have to get anything you face, you have to get a lesson out of it, because if you didn't get the lesson, then it's the real failure. I don't believe in failure, honestly, but the real failure if you really didn't get the lesson out of this experience. And I call it always life lesson. I really I reject calling it failure at all. I mentor a lot of young entrepreneurs and also professional ladies. And I always tell them that never call it a failure. It's never a failure. The real failure is when you don't take the lesson, and you need to write down this lesson and keep reminding yourself. And the other thing is, like, also by taking risks, sometimes you don't, I told my family 1 month after I established the company, and it's so funny. I was like, they're like discussing what shall I do, and after I sold my share with the previous company, and then I told them, like, after discussing my personal life, I was like, okay, are you done? I just want to let you know that I have now my own company. So I think it's just, always, you have to take risk. It's of course calculated risk. We're talking about calculated risk. And you have this precious time, just also enjoy and take care of yourself, because it's always about the entrepreneurial spirit and mindset and attitude, also about taking care of ourselves.
Yeah, that's great. So one thing that I think about when hearing you say all of that, and then knowing your background and knowing that you spent time in the United States, traveling the US, seeing firsthand different industries and entrepreneurial approaches, and then returning to Jordan as well. I mean, as well as elsewhere. I know that you've been all around. So, sort of reflecting on those decisions that, you talked about taking risks, risk assessment, all of those different things. Is there anything, in terms of lessons learned in the US that you brought back to the Jordanian context, things in the Jordanian context that if you reflected on would be important for, the US?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was lucky and fortunate to join many times the US Department of State on educational exchange programs. and just to learn how the practice of the entrepreneurship, many initiatives, and it's truly amazing. You know, we have the same concerns, the same challenges. I mean, it's the way you do it in terms of structure and the way you implement things. So I think we have to focus on how to implement and how to make it in full enforcement. And I've learned a lot. The exchange, it gives you such exchange, it gives you exposure. And I think you have the exposure, so you look into the 360 view, which is very important. So you know, you think always, they say, yeah, you have to think global and act local. Maybe it's the opposite, but it's just yeah, exactly. So and it's, you know, and it's easy because, you know, it's easy, Joe, when you are grounded in your own identity. So you have the core, you have the principle, you know, the culture, you know, the constraint, but still you can learn what can be applicable. And it is, we can identify what all of us we are witnessing and experiencing. So the US, it was, and you know, the US Jordan relationship was an excellent relationship. So I was lucky to be in many programs, entrepreneurship. It was one of the programs. This was women fostering economic stability. So that was one of the best programs I've ever attended. So this, and I'm trying to apply this in what I do, and also to benefit my country, to bring also stories, because what we need is more, to spread more success stories. I mean, Majid's story and Naif in the last panel, it's a success stories, and we need to share more of these success stories in the Middle East. It's very, very important.
Right. That's great. So changing gears slightly, I'd like to ask you a little bit about specifically about one of your projects, the Women Bee Buzzers. Could you tell us a little bit about that and sort of how it was going and all of that?
Yeah, sure. It's one of the best programs and I was pregnant, and it was amazing to drive 2 hours to north of Amman to see this lady. So basically the project was actually, we selected 10 women from a rural area, very conservative, and we trained them how to on beekeeping, and part of it was theoretical and practical training. Which was interesting is actually to see the practical. So I selected one of the from the community. I selected a person who actually will teach them and be with them in the field. And I'll tell them, I'll not give you the beehives until you go to the field and wear the uniform against bees and all of that, which was a really amazing experience. The deep, let's say, impact was actually to see this, a cultural transformation of actually men and women, being in a field, working and collaborating together. Especially, it's a conservative society, or it was a conservative village. The women, they have never been in, outside their homes. They don't work. They need that money. So the project was really, really important. And it's a pilot. I would hope to see, this project becoming on a national level. And it's the success stories were it was amazing to see this woman, discussing. And one of them, she was like, yeah, but you have to Google things. And it's, it's like, and it was so nice to hear. It was and she was telling her colleagues from other women, and all of them, they were sometimes coming with kids and the babies and someone like men from the community. And it's a community. This is where you create actually a positive environment to learn and exchange knowledge, and you go to the field and you have your beehives and you exchange knowledge. So I think we created a beautiful example of such, but we need to, of course, leverage and have it on a national level. I would love to see that of such a project coming on board. And the second thing actually would be, is actually I was so reachable to them and so close because I was pregnant. I was a mother. I was coming sometimes with my husband to give the lecture. So, I felt like really with family, and we truly appreciate that. And then it's always the way how you approach people, and it should be, just genuine, because otherwise they would feel that you are coming with, with something not genuine. So it's about the genuine, and it's about the, your mission, and you sharing your mission with those people. And some of the incidents, they were like, they were having some, dispute. I was like, okay, guys, I don't want any conflicts here. It's a win-win situation. All of us together on this. We are one team, and we need to support each other. Otherwise, it won't happen. So it was that, I think, their life lesson, which was very good.
Yeah, what a great story of entrepreneurship, and also like authentic leadership. I mean, stressing a lot of the things that you talked about earlier in your presentation. One thing to note, and actually our university librarian, Anna Gold, is listening, or was listening. And she'd be, I brought this up, and I did a quick search of the WPI library to see if we had, the project work on beekeeping. Anna Gold is still listening. Hi, Anna. So I looked through the database to see just the sheer number of projects that have been done over the years that's very close to the work that you were doing. And it was pretty exciting to see. So, something on my list after this would be actually to go through the list of projects and to send them along to you, because, there's a ton of lessons that were actually learned from student involvement. One thing that I'd like to transition to is also, I know that a couple of years ago, you went on an Arctic expedition. Could you kind of tell us all about it? I know that it was a real transformational experience for you, and maybe tell us about the experience and how that's impacted you and your work.
So it was an initiative, Norwegian initiative, founded by two Norwegian ladies, and it's called Future Talks. So I met them at the World Economic Forum, and both of them are like, they are like young global leader like me. So they told me that we want you to join us in, one of the ladies, she invited me to join them in the expedition. And the expedition was, we wanted to tackle and tap on the global urgent challenges and to find solutions. So we went from Oslo to Svalbard, and from Svalbard we took like a big ship, and we went for 5 days, and we crossed 80 degrees North Pole, and we witnessed firsthand the impact of climate change, which was an eye-opening experience for me, because when I came to back to Jordan, and because usually when you talk to people, some people in the Middle East, and you tell them climate change, they think that is something far away, it will never impact us. But if you tell them that, for example, in 10 years, because of climate change, you wouldn't find wheat to eat because it's affecting the countries who are producing wheat, then the people will listen. So, and it was interesting because we tackled many global challenges, and I still remember, Joe, the when we reached and we put down what is important and what is the only solution to tackle and tackle all the urgent global challenges, including climate change, is actually how to make people care, which was something, it's just interesting. It's very simple, it's just like how, it's just like we found out that it's actually, how do you make people care? My answer to that was actually, you make them, tell them something that would threaten their existence. They will make them think about their future generation. So that was one of the best experiences I ever had. And it's very interesting because we really opened up, and you find, I realized personally that it's the only place where we had one enemy, and our enemy was in the expedition is actually climate change. So we were so unified, it was no one-sided perspective, no one dictating us how to think. It was just we realized that it is, we were like one power, one mission is how to tackle these global challenges and what need to be done. And it was definitely an eye-opening experience. And of course, when I came back, I realized that I'm like the first Jordanian who crossed 80 degrees north. So I was like famous a bit on the TV.
That's great.
I haven't realized. I was like, when I came back and I was telling the story, it's like, okay, but we don't have any Jordanian who crossed 80 degrees North Pole. So I think it was And I didn't know. I just went. So it was fun. After I came back, and I of course addressed the issues in a certain way. So it's also about the approach of how is finding a way to make people care. So when you mentioned now in the last panel about water, so when you tell them that in 5 years or in 10 years, if God forbid, like you will not find the water to drink or you will not find water to take bath, then the people, oh my God, what needs to be done? And it's not, I'm not talking about, and I'm talking about on a regional level, like everyone should be concerned. And it's something that you need to act now, everyone, from our kids, from the people, everyone. So I think you need to address it on a, everyone. And it starts like from the family to the community, to the society, to nation, to nations, to the whole world. So everyone should be concerned about what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and take a question right now that was posted by Karen Bean. Karen says, thanks for joining us. And she was wondering if you could talk about the role of mentors in your own journey. You talked a little bit about mentoring others, but, could you talk a little bit about the role that, your own mentors have played in this journey that you've been on?
Oh, thank you so much for the question. I love this question. I think I love it. I think mentors and mentee, they must choose each other. So both of them should know what they are getting from each other and what they are learning from each other, and they need to look at each other as equal. So all the people I had as, and I still have as a mentor, they always look at me as an equal. So it's always about sharing thoughts and telling me, maybe no, you should do this and this. So I was lucky actually to have one of the best, mentors, and I always reach out to them. And it's also about, I wouldn't say, some of them I would actually just be vulnerable with and just discuss the things. And it's about, I always, used to tell these mentors that I'm so appreciative of their time, because what a special people in your life, the most precious thing that would they give you is actually their time and their knowledge. So the importance of mentor was really had a really, and still has actually still have a very important role in my life. And I wish I will do the same to the my mentee and be this a person of being genuine and being honest to them and try to help them out in the journey, because a mentor, he doesn't tell you which crossroad to take. It just gives you the clarity. Sometimes they give you the full tells you that there is like a wide spectrum between white and black. So you need such a person. And I still always need someone, and such a people in my life. So the role was really important.
Yeah, that's great. Well, a couple of different things, but I was wondering if maybe like you could detail a little bit about some of the, visions for the future, some of the roles that you think for potential collaborations and needs, I think, both from a Jordanian perspective, but potentially for a regional perspective that, might encourage or get our faculty, our students, staff, friends, thinking, differently or being interested in types of engagement in the region.
I mean, honestly, Joe, after I heard the last panel, I don't have anything to add. It just you tackled everything, and it's important that in the region, just identifying the most urgent matters in our region and just address them and act now, because we really don't have time, whether climate change or water or food. Food security. So this is one of the issues I think that you need to tackle, and agri-tech as well. And also we need to have more collaboration on a regional level. and learn from each other. I think it's important now. And also the role of the quality education, so to fill the gaps, because it's still, sorry, in the region, some of the countries are advancing and some of the countries are still, torn because of war. So you don't want this gap to happen. And again, it's about also the human progress, and recognizing that the human dignity should be recognized and respected for all. And I think this is one of the most important things. And the future, I'm looking into the technology integration of everything we do in our lives, and in every industry we are looking into working on the technological literacy, working on, I would say, the skills. And it means all type of skills to match, to match what the world will need in 5 and 10 years. So we can compete with, from our students, we can compete with others. So it's about also the skills. So it's very, very important.
Yeah, it's one of the things I find compelling in the things that you say and do, is that you have a human-centered vision of the future that is supported by the benefits of technology. And that's, that's something that it's easy to allow the technology to dictate, potentially what it is that we do, versus having technologies be in service of solving our problems. And, if we think back to the things that you've said already, it's very much focused on like human flourishing, the getting individuals to, achieve their potential. And, I think that's a really compelling message.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe. It's also, I always saying like who is creating this technology, and it is, again, it's humans. So we need to take care of these humans. And that's why it's not only STEM fields. Now people are studying art and philosophy and, how to teach our kids the critical thinking, because then they will question everything. And then again, it's the privacy of our life with the existence of technology. So we need to take care of the human as a whole. And also the technology, for me, it should be and must be always only a tool. And it's a solution. It's not who we are, and it will never, be identified by, or led by robotics, unless like you watch so much of iRobot, but the movie. But it's like one of my favorite movies. But still, it's the human. So also we need to take care of the human as a whole, and we need to take care of their well-being and prosperity. And the technology, it should be only a tool. And I think this is what we need to be focused on.
So let me open and sort of, I'm looking at the clock, and let me just sort of end with the same question that I asked the panel, which is, is there anything in preparation for this, this event, or during the event, watching the panelists speak, us talking now, is there anything that like you wish that we should have covered, or something that I should have asked, or a different point of view on something that came up earlier?
Wow. Honestly, no, honestly, which is great. It means that it was very comprehensive and hands-on, which is, I think this is what the WPI stands for, hands-on experience. So it's like a hands-on
learning by doing,
hands-on event. Also, I would also recommend to tackle more of which will be very challenging, is like how to tap into philosophy and some of the humanitarian, even one subject when you discuss STEM fields, that would be very challenging, and it will bring a whole perspective and spectrum of things.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And actually, we had one of our professors in the humanities department who was going to be on the panel to discuss this very issue. Unfortunately, he's sick and he couldn't join us. But your point is extremely well taken. And actually, it's interesting you say that, because my way of coming into the technical fields actually is through the humanities. Humanities and social sciences. And you mentioned some science fiction, movies being favorite. One of the things that I think is the greatest, what makes science fiction a great tool is that it's not really, yeah, it's neat to hear about cool tech and like ideas, these visions for the future, but what science fiction really does is tell us about humanity in the present. And it's how our values, our ideals, all of these different things, as we take a thought experiment, which is essentially the way, you invent a setting and have technologies that influence it, but it's still humans largely that are interacting, on this stage. And that's my plug for it as well, is that, that approach of human-centered design and the role that arts and can play in ensuring that we design ethically, as we build the future. Yeah.
Absolutely. I always tell my son, he's 8 years old. I always tell him you have to question everything. But of course I always regret it, because when you ask someone like you have to question everything, then you have to be like ready.
Open.
For that. Yeah. So we have to question everything.
Well, that's great. And Malak, I just really, from the bottom of my heart, want to thank you for agreeing to do this. I'm so honored that you would do it. And so, Malak and I met at a conference in Morocco 8 years ago, maybe 7 years ago.
Yeah, global. I have to mention here, Joe, that Joe Biden was giving the speech at that event. It was Global Entrepreneurship Summit, and it's interesting now. Thank God he's the president. So it was interesting. He was giving the speech, one of the best speeches ever about entrepreneurship.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, full embrace of the region, the potential, and a talk about entrepreneurship. So that's pretty amazing. That's how we met, and that's what brought us together today. So thank you so much, and thanks again. And let's definitely stay in touch and about potential project work and things throughout the region, and any way that we can support you and your great work. We're definitely open and available.
And anything, if you want any of your students to reach out to ask me a question, I would love to do so. I would be honored, and thank you for having me. It has been really a true pleasure and an honor.
Thank you.